Hey, welcome to Learning with Lou. Today we're going to talk about what a decimal is and decimal place value. So just a quick overview, a decimal is a number that shows a whole part and part of a whole, using a decimal point to separate them. It sounds a lot like a fraction because it is a lot like a fraction. To the left of your decimal point, that's the decimal point right here, this red dot, we have our whole number to the left. So this is 3 and 58 hundredths. That means we have 3 wholes, and over here to the right of the decimal point, we have 58 hundredths. And I'm going to show you how to know what decimal place value you're looking at. So just something to remember that a decimal is very similar to a fraction, and you could actually use decimals to represent fractions and the other way around as well. I always tell my students to think about fractions and decimals as different math languages. They can mean the same thing, they're just written differently. Kind of like how you can say hello in different languages. You can say hello, you can say hola. It means the same thing, you just say it differently. It's a different math language. So decimal place value is a lot like regular place value. To the left of your decimal point, you have your ones place. This tells you how many wholes you're working with. And as you go more to the right of the decimal point, you have tenths, hundredths, thousandths. You're actually getting smaller and smaller here. So for example, a 3 in the tenths place, if we were to just stop here, let's just say we could cross this out for a minute. If we were to just stop here, we would have 1 and 3 tenths. That would be it because our 3 is in the tenths place. However, it goes on even further. If we were to cross this out, you could say you have 1 and 37 hundredths. However, we go even further with this decimal. You could say we have 1 and 374 thousandths. Your decimal place value tells you what your denominator is. It tells you how many total equal parts you're talking about. So remember that when you're thinking of decimal place value, you always start right after the decimal point, directly to the right of it. You don't want to accidentally start at the left of it and say this is the tenths, hundredths, because then you'll be off. Your ones place is directly to the left, and then directly to the right of your decimal point is where your decimal place value begins. You can see another example here. We have 57 hundredths. We have 0 wholes. So we really just have a 5 in the tenths place and our 7 in the hundredths place, telling us it's 57 hundredths. This is out of 100 equal parts. We don't have any thousandths. Before I move on any further, if you want to give yourself a quick quiz on decimal place value, how about you pause the video here and see if you can name the place value for each underlined digit, and then when you unpause, I'll show you the answers. Okay, and if you wanted to give yourself a quick check here, you can. You could just take a look at the answers I have, and then we'll move on even further about decimals. So like I said earlier, fractions and decimals are very similar to each other. You could actually use them to represent the same amount. So this is going to look a lot like representing fractions here, except we're going to represent the amounts that we see visually with a decimal. So as you can see here, we have 10 total parts and 4 of them are shaded in. Your decimal would be 4 tenths, which is written as 0.4, but it's pronounced as 4 tenths. But as you can see underneath it, the further you go down decimal place value, the more equal parts you're talking about. Up here, this blue one, 0.4, this 4 is in the tenths place, so we're only talking about 10 equal parts and 4 of them being shaded in. Down here, we have 43 hundredths. Our 3 ends up in the hundredths place. So that means we have 43 out of 100 shaded in. And you could think of it as your 4 in the tenths place. You have 4 tens shaded in. You have one column of 10, another column of 10, a third column of 10, and a fourth column of 10. This is where the 4 tenths come in. And then you still have 3 more just ones over here, making 43 hundredths. An important thing I always have to remind my students of is don't confuse your tenths with the hundredths. If you see 0.7, which is 7 tenths, this is what you have here, 10 total parts with 7 of them shaded in. However, if you have 7 hundredths, a lot of my students think that these are equivalent to each other. They're not. You're talking about 7 out of 100 total parts shaded in, and as you can see between the two pictures here, the visuals, they are two very different numbers. So just always be careful of your decimal place value. Real quick again, just to make sure you got the hang of decimals, if you want to pause here and take a look at all of these visuals and see if you could recognize the decimal that they're showing, go ahead and do that, and then when you unpause, you could check your answers and see how you did. Okay, so let's see how you did. We have our first one here, this orange one, which is 5/10, written as 0.5. Because you have 5 out of 10 shaded in, we're not going to any further place values. Over here, this next one, the green one, you have 66 hundredths. 6 columns of 10 are completely shaded in, giving us 6/10. But then there's 6 more ones over here, giving us 66 out of 100 shaded in. Down here, the yellow one, we have 9 out of 10 shaded in, giving us 9/10 or 0.9. Over to the right, we have this purple one, 38 hundredths. 38 out of 100 are shaded in. And then the last one is kind of like a trick one, like I was saying before, not confusing your tenths and hundredths place. You actually have 0.08, which is pronounced as 8 hundredths, because only 8 out of 100 are shaded in. And that's my introduction to decimals for you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, if you feel that you learned something from these videos or you want to see more in the future, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. If you check the link in my description, you could actually get to my shop if you wanted to download any of these resources that you see in my videos. Thank you again for watching. I really hope this helped you, and remember, never stop learning.